Hi everybody, my name's Kay. You're watching Amidst the Gray. And today, it's pen and paper happy time with my very first, and definitely not last, Techo Kaigi. So excited! Let's do this thing. I still don't know how I've managed to get through 16 videos on my channel without really talking about my planner or my journals. What kind of sorcery is this? Alas, I am here to remedy that situation today. I've been wanting to do a Techo Kaigi for so long, but it's just been a matter of timing and making sure I had everything that I anticipate I'm going to be using or wanting to use or contemplating using, all just at the same time. But I think I'm there at that point. I don't intend to go overly in depth in any of my notebooks really in particular, just because the majority of them I intend to feature semi-regularly in subsequent videos. The one exception might be my planner, simply because I'm using the same system that I take that back. It's roughly the same with a little minor adjustment, but it's the same process that I've used for the last 2 years straight. And as of now, I don't anticipate on anything much changing. So this might be the only time, at least for quite a while, that I present my Traveler's Notebook, which my Midori, which is my planner, just because I don't anticipate much will change. If nothing really major changes, I might just do a check-in maybe in the middle of the year, like maybe in June, like maybe before the summer solstice. I might just check in with it. If I decide to swap approaches or inserts, or if I reconfigure anything in a way that's overly different, then maybe I will do an update sooner. But if not, then probably won't until maybe mid-year. My other journals, on the other hand, I intend to just kind of skim through kind of quickly, just because my seasonal journal in particular, just because I intend for that to be a regular feature on this channel, just in how I am working with seasonal energies and my seasonal cards and my seasonal just processing of life kind of in general. Most of that is going to go in that notebook, and so I intend on making that a regular feature. I plan to at least do a check-in with my seasonal journal at the transition of every sun season, so zodiac season. So once Capricorn season is over, I plan to do a check-in with my seasonal journal for just kind of reviewing Capricorn season and maybe what I have intended for Aquarius season. Then I have a couple of ideas for very niche specific journals, and I will present my ideas and what I might use for those as well. I'll also show you what pens I currently have kind of in rotation. I have a niggle that pens for me are going to be a thing this year, as far as swapping pens in and out and acquiring a few new ones. I have a lot of pens. I really don't need any new pens, but there are a couple that I do have my eye on. Whether or not I'll bring them in, I don't know. But I'll show you what I have as of now. Nothing is set in stone. This is an evolving process, as any of you who are into notebooks and planning and journaling and pens and all the stationery goodness know. You know, these things change. We grow and evolve as people, and thus our systems and approaches grow and evolve as well. So this is part one, and this is just kind of my initial ideas and thoughts and kind of what I've already done. Because technically my symbolic new year has already started. It starts on the winter solstice. I've been in that kind of new year energy already for a few days, and so I already have the ball rolling on things. I'm going to start with my planner, because that will be kind of just a quick what I have in it and brief how I use it. My journals are going to take a little bit longer just because I'm still very much kind of mulling things out in my own head as to how I want to approach it. My planner I have dialed in, you know, because it's what I've been doing for a while now. So I'm comfortable with that. But my journals, I'm still kind of sussing out. Okay, I think that's it. Let's look at the goods. Hey everybody, Editing K here. Just to let you know, the lighting in this video is all over the place. I live in the coastal Pacific Northwest region, and we have had one storm after another, and the weather and thus the lighting changes every 2-3 minutes kind of on average. So just letting you know that there will be fluctuations with the lighting situation. So just so you're aware. Okay, onward. As my little notation in the intro stated, I'm going to begin with pens. I'm not going to show you every pen I have in my possession because that would take entirely too long. So instead, I'm going to show you my Chunky Monkey Frio pen case. I got this off of Jet Pens. It is a roll case, but it is also magnetic. So when you fold it back and adhere the flap to the back portion, you essentially get a standing pen case that can support its own weight. In the pen case are what are kind of my daily drivers at the moment. I have a couple of Pigma Microns in the dark green and the dark blue. These are both in the 0.45 size, which is a good all-around kind of everyday size. I like the Microns. I always keep them around in some form. These next three are my current absolute loves. These are the Sarasa Grands with the metal barrels with the vintage ink colors. I currently have 3 of the 11 colors. I have the camel yellow, I have the green black, and I have the brown gray. I would like to get all 11 eventually, but that will just kind of come over time. I'm really, really happy with the colors that I have. I do think I want to get the blue gray, the lighter blue next. This brown is kind of my everyday go-to. I often carry that in my Fjallraven pocket and not the pen case just because I use it pretty regularly. The next 3 are just some Staedtler Triplus Fineliners in a few colors that I'm particularly fond of. These are 0.4, I believe. I like the Staedtlers as well. They're reliable and they tend for me to not smear. My Tombows don't really fit in this case very well, but I use them so often I just chuck them in there. I have that gold and a brown and a black. I'd like to get a case just for those eventually. And I also have some neutral colored Mildliners. These 3 are from I think it was the natural pack. It was the one that had the olive green. The olive green I have in another case at the moment. And now for a pen that was not in the pen case because it is always with my planner. This is a 3-barrel Pilot High-Tech C Coletto in the color Cream Pearl. This pen is always with my Midori, and I always keep a blue-black refill, a brown refill, and a red or pink refill. And now we'll move right into my planner. I have a standard brown Midori, original Midori traveler's notebook. I've had it since 2016 and I have been in and out of it, mostly I think I was only out of it for 1 year, a whole 1 year stretch, and then I think another 6 months. But other than that, I've been in it as a planner since then. This thing is my ride or die. I have been in other sizes besides this one, but I always come back to standard size. I tried A5, I didn't like it. I tried A6, didn't like it. Both of those are entirely too square for me. I prefer the taller, more narrow sizes in general, but particularly for planning. Through trial and error, I've really learned what I like and what I feel comfortable working in. And for me, standard size for planning is just kind of a comfort blanket. It is what just works incredibly well for me. And I just know better than to deviate away from this because I always come back to it. We'll just go ahead and start with the inside cover. This is the clear folder for 2023 with a gift certificate to a tea shop that I've had for over a year and I have not used yet. I need to do that. Everything about this coffee theme I just love so much, and I pretty much got everything. And then I have a clear pocket with my little treble clef clip there. And to the right of that is the pocket portion of the zipper pouch, and I like to put the insert from the dated diary in there and just to kind of leave it open, and so I can flip through it and it makes me happy and I keep it there. Let's take a look at my brass clips. The one on the left I've had for 3 years. The one on the right is new to me this year, and look at the difference in the patina. It's incredible, and I am excited for my newer one to kind of get that aged look like my original one has. I also have the card insert, and I keep photos in there, but I'm in the process of transitioning out. This year on my monthly is the first year that I have used tabs. I've had this dated monthly many times, and I've never used the tabs that come in the sticker portion of that diary set, but I decided to give them a try. The dated Travelers Company monthly insert is the driver of my planner. I could get along with probably just that and not have anything else and be okay. So on the inside of the dated monthly, I wanted my tarot card of the year on the left cover just so I could immediately see it. That's the Hangman from the Tempest Tarot. I'm in a personal year 3, and so on the right I just kind of put some associations with the number 3 there. This year I've modified my monthly to a certain extent. I have covered some pages that I don't use, but the dated 2-year at a glance that you just saw, I reference that regularly. And so I didn't cover it. I'm still debating as to whether or not I'm going to cover the kind of year at a glance with the little boxes. I think I might want to have my menstrual cycle at a glance tracked with this, but I haven't decided. This is the first modification. I have covered the first 3 weeks of December of this year with plain MD grid from a spare notebook that I had, simply because I wanted to see what it would be like to kind of have my seasonal approach to things reflected in my planner. So for me, my symbolic new year begins on the winter solstice, which in this case it was Wednesday the 21st. So I set my new year to begin during that week. And also, I've worked in public education for over a decade. And when I finished that last Friday before winter break, for me, that Friday and that subsequent weekend, those are almost like my end of year days. And my new year begins that following Monday. So I have reflected that here by just focusing on the last 2 weeks of December and covering the upper part with plain grid paper so I could make some notes. What you see here is my monthly from last year. There I attempted to track my menstrual cycle. I'm showing you this just because the process is basically going to be the same this year, where I mark each month with a different kind of washi tape. January's tape is the same as this year's December tape. My monthly is a forward planner. I will make extra notes here and there, but largely this is just for anything that I have upcoming related to appointments, work meetings, extended breaks. I note my paydays, I note birthdays, holidays, non-school days, and then in the back I have some yearly relevant lists for just practical things like tax documents and things like that. So I showed you that because that is going to be pretty much what I do this year. I don't anticipate on much changing. I know a lot of people use the dated monthly as a memory keeper, and I think that's really cool. But that and I gave that a try one year, but that process didn't work for me as well. But it works really well as an extremely practical forward planner, which is essentially
what I use it for. Here's the next modification. December next year, I covered the bottom 2 weeks and made some extra forward planning room for 2024. If I decide that I don't want to do the seasonal approach in my planner, I will just abandon that and move on. But I just kind of wanted to see what that would be like. In the back of the dated Travelers Company monthly, you get some extra pages, including a spread for January of the following year, which I have covered because I never use it. I covered it with more MD grid paper. There you see January and my last year's that actually 2022's that I didn't use. I converted January's spread for 2023 into an Amazon card, or Amazon gift card log. I did that last year and I found it very useful. The map with the capitals and time zones, I actually really like to look at that. I just think it's fun. And so I did not cover that. I left that alone as is. The next spread is the weights and equivalents spread and the travel kind of itinerary at the bottom. If you're familiar with Travelers Company, then you know what I mean. I did keep the ruler just because I think that's kind of useful. But other than that, I converted it into a master projects list and a last time log. And then you get 10 blank, just regular blank cream pages. And I love these pages for lists, and I usually fill up all the pages. On the back, I made another modification. If you're familiar with these calendar inserts, you know that on the back there is, or in the back rather, there is a departure card where you can fill out your personal information. I never use this. I don't know if I've ever actually filled it out. Maybe I did once. But I decided to cover that and use that for additional blank space. Back of the monthly is just the coffee and notebook sticker from the dated sticker pack, as well as the other half of the product description little insert. On the right is the zipper portion of the zipper pouch that's connected to the pocket that I showed you in front. This is as old as my Midori. I got the zipper pouch at the same time. I ordered it with the Midori, and in here I just have some random scrap paper, and I always keep stamps handy because I still use stamps. I know some people still use stamps out there, so I always keep some stamps handy and just whatever miscellaneous scrap paper I can get. Next, we'll move on to the weekly, which should be fun to talk about just because I have an absolute love-hate relationship with weekly inserts. This year, I tried out the dated horizontal with memo on the right from Travelers Company, and I did use it, but I didn't feel like I needed or really even wanted to get into it a lot of the time. I always tell myself I need a weekly, but I have discovered through trial and error that I actually really don't, and I could get by with a monthly and a place to make lists. That being said, I am giving this one a try. It's the only weekly insert by Travelers Company that I have not tried yet, and that is the undated vertical. I have actually modified this insert as well. You get 2 of these kind of forward planning or tracking spreads, and I don't think I will need either of them. I might keep one of them blank and then just cover the rest with MD paper. This was my first week. Oh, before that, that little magnetic bookmark I just got in like an 8-pack on Amazon, and I like them. I use them for a lot of different things. This is a reflection of my first weekly with the undated vertical, and I'm showing you the monthly on the right there because in the dated vertical you have that same kind of calendar strip on the right side, and I didn't like that in the vertical just because I found myself kind of wanting to make extra notes kind of everywhere, and so I opted for the undated this time just so I would have room for notes. And here I did a med tracker for my son. He had his wisdom teeth removed, and I was just keeping track of what meds he had taken and on which day and how many. I haven't decided if I'm going to follow the hourly markers on the page or if I'm going to split it up and kind of use one chunk for timed appointments, one chunk for daily things I have to do and one chunk for stuff that happened. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. In my first week that I did, that you saw, I did follow kind of the hourly format, but I'm thinking I'm going to maybe change that up for my next week just to kind of see. Here is another modification. In the undated vertical, you do not, and I can't remember if this dated vertical is the same, but you do not get extra pages in the back like you do with the horizontal and memo. It just goes, it ends with just a regular spread. So, and they give you 2 extra weeks. So what I did was cover those 2 extra weeks with grid paper, with MD grid paper, that same that I did with the monthly. You can kind of still see the outline of the weekly spread up there. And then I also, there's 1 and 2, and then I also covered the departure card again because I never use them. So I kind of have high hopes for this one. We'll see what happens. And that sticker on the bottom, the stickers for this coffee theme, these are the best stickers I think that Travelers Company's ever done. I just freaking love the stickers this year. The next non-paper insert up is the Travelers Company that's covered in fuzz. It's the olive color. This was part of the B-Sides and Rarities collection. I don't know if they're still available. In the zipper pouch, I just have a bunch of random things that I really need to clean out, and that's my list book from this year, and I'm still working on transferring some lists over to my new insert, which is this one, the 001. This is just a regular Travelers Company ruled insert. And can we look at the writing board for this year? It is just amazing. In fact, I like the writing boards so much that I actually ended up getting the passport size as well, which is hilarious because I don't use the passport for any kind of planning. I use my Camel passport as kind of a wallet extension, but the writing boards are so incredible. I got both because I couldn't help myself. The last paper insert I have is a book of lists. Essentially, it's almost like a collections notebook, kind of like how you would maybe find in a traveler's notebook, a bullet journal kind of style setup. I set up contents pages on that blank page and then on the right, and then I probably might have one on the following page. And this is just, this year it's going to be a lot of YouTube stuff, I think, in that list book. In the pocket part of the B-Sides and Rarities, I have these everywhere. They're the double-sided Travelers Company stickers, and I freaking love these stickers. They are the best adhesive stickers I have ever used, and I always keep them. I have them in like pretty much every notebook that I have that has a pocket. And in the big pocket, there's the rest of the coffee stickers, miscellaneous things I've gotten from shops. There's the other pocket sticker, which if I like the vertical undated, I'll put that last one in the next one. And then the colored dots, I use those in my monthly. And then in the back there, I just have some random things in that little pocket sticker. In total, I have 3 paper inserts, 2 zipper pouches, the card insert, and then a couple of other things scooched in there like the writing board. And my overhang is minimal. And I think that's because of the way I have things kind of set up and configured as far as the non-paper inserts being wrapped around individual paper inserts. Overall, everything fits really, really well. I love my planner. I love how it functions and just how it works for me. And this thing I love most is the size. Standard size, it's tall and narrow. It's big enough to have enough room, and it's narrow enough to be super portable. This fits in my zip sling bag in the bigger pocket, no problem. This is the only notebook I have that goes with me every day. If I leave the house, this goes with me. It's always with me on the table at home. It goes to work with me. It's kind of, like I said, it's my ride or die. It's what I use for everything somewhat practical. And it's my brain in a book. And I love it. The button that I have on there, I got that at Joann's. I wasn't even looking for a button, but I came across that one and it was just perfect. And that's been on there for as long as I've had the notebook. And then I have this little simplify charm because that's a good reminder that I don't need to overcomplicate things as I sometimes do. The aging really shows in the corners. I've got some really nice crease marks there. It's really scuffed up, but it's in great condition and the leather is really shiny. And I'm going to show you the spine creases because I love them. They're amazing. I know some people don't like their traveler's notebooks being all marked and dinged up, but to me, that is kind of the whole point. It's meant to show age, and my leather is very nicely patinaed. I don't use any oil on it. This is just days and days and days and days and years of me handling it with the oil from my hands. Next up is my second definite for 2023. This is my B5 Lihit Lab Smart Case. I got this from Jet Pens. It's in the color olive, but it's showing up very gray on camera. It's much more green than this. For me, this is the notebook where there are no rules and anything goes. I got this case in summer, this past summer of 2022, because this year I developed a bit of a love affair with the B5 and composition size, particularly the kind of more narrow semi B5 that you will see reflected in my seasonal journal, which will be the one I feature after this one. But the B5 size for me is the perfect size for getting the contents of my brain out on paper, and I do that in a variety of ways. That notebook on the left, I do my 369 statements. The book on the right there in the back is my book of miscellany, which is where I just put anything and everything that I need to get out. And then that middle book is my reading notes, which is brand new because I just went through my last one. And by reading notes, I mean divination notes. The 369 book and the miscellany book are smaller because I cut them down into that 7x10 more semi B5 size, just because I love that size. The regular composition size is a little wide for me, but I can still make it work. These Moleskine Cahiers were from a 6-pack that I found at Costco for $25 US for 6 notebooks. They bring them out particularly during back to school time, sometimes a little bit before, and I'm getting a little nervous because they will often remove them during the winter and spring months, and I'm almost out. I should have gotten a pack while I still could, but I have other notebooks I could fill, but they're just not these. These notebooks are just fantastic for just kind of everyday scribble writing. And for that reason, I would say that the contents of this notebook are also the most personal of any notebook I have, just because I don't hold back when I write in the notebooks here. It's very uninhibited writing. It's very freeing, and thus the content becomes very personal. I do some color coding in here, and I do keep the olive and kind of that lighter gray Mildliner in that second pocket there, that wider pocket. I love my Mildliners. I love that olive in particular. That was part of that neutral pack. And then I just keep a regular cheapy kind of ballpoint pen in there that I just get from wherever. So that is my B5 Lihit Lab Smart Case. Now we'll move on to my seasonal journal, which is the notebook that I am contemplating and thinking about the most. Because of trial and error throughout even the end of 2021 and all of 2022, I have a good idea of how I want my seasonal journal to look. The one you see is in front of you is actually my 2022. I actually started it in 2021, and I really had no idea what I was doing in this. But eventually it did evolve into sort of a seasonal approach. Here I discovered the Ecosystem Guild, which is a regional ecological organization in my state, and an ecologist there essentially developed a regional version of the 8-season wheel. And so I started working with that, and then I just started dumping readings in here and just tons of text. Sometimes there's just pages and pages of text. Most of what you see here was in late 2021, and it was really just me figuring out how I wanted things to look. And I did a lot of that in autumn 2021 in particular. There's more text, there's more Ecosystem Guild, and yet even more text. Then as 2022 kind of came, and then some things I just kind of started and then abandoned. And then here we are in the middle of 2022, so big time jump here. But 2022, particularly during the summer, during Leo season, that is when I kind of started figuring things out, even though some things were not finished there. I may or may not go back and finish. I haven't decided. But there's Libra season. Libra season is when I made a connection with the decans and when I decided I wanted to work with decans. I'm doing it much differently this year than I am, or I should say in 2023 than I did in 2022. This current book that you see in front of you is my 2023. The one I showed you before and this one are both the Leuchtturm B5 soft covers. This one is in the Pacific green color. It looks a lot more blue than it actually is. My 2022 journal was in the color port red. That's my Urban Crow sticker that came when I bought the Oracle from MJ. That's one of the coffee stickers from Traveler's Company. The Wanderer stickers from Stasia Burrington from when I bought my Cesarabito deck. The Just One More Plant I Promise sticker I bought from a local garden center, and the Good Vibes sticker was a gift from one of my students. In my 2023 year ahead reading, I talked a lot about working with the seasons in layers. And I feel that at least what I've done so far kind of reflects that approach of working with the umbrella seasons, or the 4 main seasons of winter, spring, summer, autumn, the sub-seasons or the zodiac seasons like the monthly sun seasons, and the decans are kind of what I'm calling micro seasons. Taking a quick look at the inside cover, this is a little tag that came from a panettone. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's a lovely Italian sort of sweet bread, often with filling. The tag is on the left there is from that panettone, and this lovely artwork here is actually from the packaging from that panettone. I cut it out and corner rounded it and affixed it to that first inside page. Here I am using the designated contents pages, and I anticipate I might need to use the following page on the left there as well. That page on the right technically is page 1. I intend for that to be a 2023 kind of cover page. I just haven't decided what I want there yet. Here is my year ahead reading, just very brief breakdown. I took a photo from the thumbnail from the video and just another photo of the cards. Here are my winter cards from that year ahead reading. So my energy for winter is the Two of Swords, and the lens in which I'm observing that energy is through the dragonfly. I chose to designate my winter pages with that black and white washi tape up in the upper left hand corners there. Anything with that washi tape is a winter page. And then turning the page here for my Capricorn kind of breakdown, that washi tape on the bottom is going to be my Capricorn designation for pages. In the middle on the left there, that is an undated Midori MD sticker calendar. And the undated are great because I can set it up however I want. In this case, I can set it up by the zodiac season. I've noted the moon phases, when the decans begin, and just a couple of other things there. And my anchor card of patience for Capricorn season is on the right there, along with some initial thoughts. Next, I have my first decan Capricorn advice card, the Trust Your Wisdom card from the Wisdom of Hafiz deck that I drew. And then I will continue with just some everyday things. I'll do either a spread or some individual pages for each of the moon phases of the Capricorn moon cycle. I'm going to be using a lot of ephemera, just everyday bits and pieces in this journal. These Leuchtturm B5 softcovers have 123 numbered pages. I love the numbered pages they make. They're so handy. I anticipate or estimate that there are some of those double-sided stickers that I love so much. I anticipate that one of these books will last me 2 main seasons. So winter, in this case, winter and spring. I'm not sure if that will actually be the case, but that's kind of what I'm estimating. So if that's the case, then I will get a second book for summer and autumn 2023 and go from there. Transitioning from my seasonal journal, but to another Leuchtturm, I present to you this behemoth of a notebook. This is an A4 plus hardcover Leuchtturm in the color sand. When I initially got this notebook, I wanted a place to essentially have a giant book of tarot readings. And this is what that started out being. The first thing I put in here was my You and the Tarot. I did the hashtag from 2021 kind of in book form. I loved this reading so much. A part of me kind of wants to recreate it in a video, but I don't know if I will. I wanted a place where I could just spread out kind of in my readings. Here's a reading I did for my 40th birthday. I did a zodiac spread. It's 12 cards, so I did 13 as like an overall. So, I needed a place to spread out, and this A4 size was just fantastic for spreading readings out visually. There I did some geomancy. I'm still getting acquainted with geomancy as a system. There I just did a combo prompt for December, and then I ended up putting some weekly cards and more geomancy, and it just turned into a giant book of readings. I initially started out wanting tarot readings, but it kind of evolved into just kind of divination readings as a whole. I made a calendar for January. There was my anchor card and my advice card. This is where I really started wanting to split my months up into thirds, but the monthly approach didn't feel right, and eventually I found the Decan approach. But yeah, I had that inclination even back then. This was a career shift spread that I actually still refer back to. It was that insightful for me. This was a very personal spread, and so I covered up that kind of center part there. There's some more there's a mid-January and late January advice. There's a how what will. That how what will was extremely personal, and I only wanted visual prompts to help me remember what the contents of that reading consisted of. And then I just kind of tapered off after that, and I have all of these blank pages. What I want to do with this is experiment with spreads, creating my own spreads, modifying existing ones, and I really want a place where I can spread out, and I think that this one will be perfect, the A4 Leuchtturm hardcover. Next up is my B6 Slim Midori MD notebook with grid paper. I love this notebook so much. I love this size. I like this better than pocket size and way better than A5 size. My intention for this journal is to create sort of my own kind of expanded little white book for the Thoth deck. I am brand new to Thoth. I know next to nothing about it. But that Princess of Disc and I, though, we've been through it a little bit this year, just initially. Here I am in a Techo Kaigi, and I'm showing a tarot deck, of course, because why not? I have some sources for Thoth, some big book sources, but what I kind of want to do is to start acquainting myself with the system, is just make my own kind of, like I said, expanded little white book. And I thought this B6 Slim was the perfect size for that. So that's an idea I have for 2023. The next journal up for consideration is my Moleskine Expanded, and I believe this color is Sapphire Blue. After working with the paper cover Cahier notebooks for a while, the ones in my Lihit Lab Smart case, I kind of developed an appreciation for Moleskine just as a whole. They are kind of a classic brand when it comes to notebooks, and I really wanted to try this Expanded. I initially got this to function sort of as a media commonplace book. So just to record things that I saw and heard and watched as I was listening to podcasts or watching documentaries or YouTube videos or things like that. And as you can see, I actually did get into that process. But what happened was I started taking a lot of audio notes, dictated notes through my voice recorder app, and they never got transcribed into the book format. And so I like the process of dictating notes, but I just need to get them transcribed into book format. And I do intend to maybe get back on track with that for 2023. So that's the Moleskine Expanded. The next two notebooks I'm contemplating are my other two Travelers Company covers, my Ace Hotel Camel and my extremely worn, beat up secondhand Olive. I don't need to have all of my Travelers notebooks occupied. They don't all have to have a function at the same time. And that way, if I want to switch covers ever, I can't. I never switch out of my standard brown, but should I want to, I could. That being said, while I have the standard brown, let's go ahead and look at them all together just so you can see the comparison, because the olive can often look very brown, but when it's actually next to the brown, it looks very olive. It's a very, very interesting leather and how it looks. Okay, back to these two. My olive, I'm really, really feeling like I want a book of divination in here. These two inserts came with it when I bought it. I believe that is the lightweight paper insert, the 013, with just the blank, kind of super thin paper. And then the other one is the newer version of the craft paper, which I'm not overly fond of. I really liked their old craft insert back when they did the sewn spine and the paper was a little less yellow. But I'm thinking a little book of divination for Olive. It just kind of has that vibe for me. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's old. It's not an old notebook really, but it's been through it, and it looks like it's been through it, and it just seems like it would be kind of that perfect sort of, I guess maybe my equivalent of a grimoire, maybe something sort of like that. So that's what I'm thinking for Olive. For my Ace Hotel Camel, I'm kind of leaning toward kind of a book of creative projects. I don't even remember where I got this little crystal-like charm, but I really like the color pattern, and so I tied it on to my bottom string there, my bookmark string. But I'm really thinking for my Ace Hotel, some kind of housing for creative projects. I would really like to do some photo collaging. I take lots of photos. Photography was kind of my first love before I started making videos. There's the 2022 writing board that I just keep in there, and that's the 2022 folder as well. And there's some more of those double-sided stickers that I keep everywhere. Maybe some photo collaging, maybe some just cutout collaging, maybe just, I don't know, maybe some creative writing, just like a creative kind of hub. Maybe that's kind of what I'm leaning toward for my Ace Hotel. This insert I totally forgot I put in here. This was when I did kind of a bullet journal style tarot journal, sort of. I kind of combined everything all in one, and it was like a 2-month. I think that said May and June. I did have a few pages left over. I did complete the months, and yeah, I forgot I put it in there. So that's something else I did in 2022, is kind of experiment with that standard size kind of bullet journal style, with included readings. Dreamer Apothecary, I bought a deck from them earlier this year. That pocket is way more blue than it actually is. Let me see. There we go. That's a little bit more reflective of what it actually looks like. This is the collaboration they did, Traveler's Factory did with Faroof. It's that lighter blue color. And this Ace Hotel insert, that one with the squares, I wish I would have gotten like 5 more of those. It's grid paper in the cream color, but the notebook cover is so interesting. It almost has kind of a waxy, slippery feel, and I just think aesthetically, I just think it's an awesome insert, and they're sold out. You can't get them anymore, but I wish I would have gotten a few more. And in the back, I have my little Empress that I also, I thought about making this a creative journal before, and that's why I put the Empress in there. That's my little kind of thank you card from Dead on Paper from when I got my Arcana Tarot playing cards, my second deck from them. So I'm thinking maybe creative hub for the Ace Hotel Camel. And now a quick summary of everything I featured. The A4 Leuchtturm hardcover, the B5 Leuchtturm softcover, the B5 Lihit Lab Smart Case, the Moleskine Expanded, the Midori MD B6 Slim Grid, the standard Olive Traveler's Notebook, the standard Ace Hotel Camel Traveler's Notebook, and last but not least, my standard brown original Midori, which is my planner. Will I use all of these? Maybe, maybe not. Like I said, this is just initial thoughts and conceptualization of what I might feel my needs are and what I might want to engage with in 2023. That's all I have for this video, so until my next one, take care and be well.